too. It's only 5 years.
Long practice.
Written on his wrist. Don't let me believe it. I want to thank you all for coming today. Thank you for inviting me. I won't talk long. Probably will, but I don't want to.
You're fine.
I was going to go into something I probably hadn't talked about before, but I didn't realize Steve was going to be the bit on the West Virginia Cavalry before I had a chance. So I guess we'll have to go to my book instead. But I've done a number of these things so far, and this is something I'm actually kind of, frankly, proud and humble about because I am a graduate. I think that surprises some people sometimes to read what I read at school. How can a graduate say things like that about this place he went to school? But this is kind of neat for me because one of the reasons that I did write the book, and I promise I'm not going to show my book the whole time, but if you just listen for a second, I think it's a good story for the occasion and certainly today, and I think the time that we're in right now. I think it's occurred to me going to school here and then making a lot of friends that it's not exactly easy to be a fan of West Virginia. So it's kind of the idea I had when I wrote this book. And as I've gone around and I've met people and they said, "Oh, what's your book about?" It's impossible for me to answer that. And so I answer their question by asking them a question. I say, "Well, are you a fan?" And invariably they're all fans. Either they're a graduate or they know somebody or they married somebody and they root and they cheer. And I say, "Okay, well, what's it like to be a fan?" And this isn't the exact response every time, but it seems generally everybody goes, "It's hard," right? And that was really satisfying for me because that was something that I kind of wanted to encapsulate. And I didn't do a very good job because it's 300 pages and 105,000 words, but somewhere in there is this general message that it's not easy. And I think if you look through certain times, if you go back, you're reading Pitt 35-8 in 1970, you think you're going to win the game, and it all falls apart in the second half. If you're on the verge of the national championship in 1989, your quarterback gets hurt in the first series, it's always these times you're going up to the top of the top. And there always seemed to be this looming doom that something bad was going to happen. And people are nodding their heads, so I feel better now, right? It seems to me that that's a really unfortunate thing. You can't enjoy the ride to the top because you're always worried about the bottom falling out. And then I kind of thought about that for a long time when I covered that 07 team. I was absolutely dead certain that they were going to hammer Pitt, they were going to play for the national championship, and obviously that didn't work. So it seemed like there was this whole general thesis of basically how everybody waits for the shoe to drop. And I feel like it's really sad. The only thing I can think of that's worse than that is that you're constantly proven to be correct, that you have this really pessimistic feeling, and unfortunately it's reinforced a lot. And so I read this book, and then the last season, everything looked like I was going to be pretty darn smart. I had this idea, and it was kind of fulfilling itself because if you think about just last season alone, the LSU game was a really big occasion. Conferences were expanding and shrinking, and West Virginia was kind of a free agent. Where are they going to go? And hey, maybe they could use this showcase to say, hey, beat Georgia, beat Oklahoma, beat LSU. You belong in any major conference, and everything's looking good. It's 27-21. There's 65,000 people losing their mind in the stand. You look like you're going to maybe upset LSU. Everything's right there. Kickoff, return, touchdown. It just pulls the feet out from under you. Then you lose to Syracuse. How does that happen? And the way that the game goes against Louisville, where a blocked field goal of all things wins the game. You're thinking, maybe this whole coaching transition doesn't work. Maybe they made some moves and it was a heck of a risk, and maybe it's just not right now. So I'm about 200 pages and 18 chapters into my book, and I'm thinking, all right, everything's kind of worked out like I thought. And then the final 4 games of the season happened, and absolutely flipped it on its head. And, I'm a bit of a head case when it comes to things like that, so I put all my energy into this book because it's really good, and all of a sudden, the last 4 games, you get every single break. From winning the Cincinnati game with a blocked field goal, the 9 sacks in the final 25 plays against Pitt. Everything that happened, this is when I pulled my hair out really at South Florida, forcing a turnover at the end of the game, Stephen Bailey's catch, which is as good as you're going to see, winning the game on a field goal. Then you go to the bowl game, and this is where I'm thinking, all right, maybe I got one last chance to save my book here. Because the bowl game used to be the annual, sometimes an embarrassment, but certainly a disappointment. And it was an embarrassment, all right, the complete other way. And you guys can make fun of Clemson all you want. That was a really good football team, and it wasn't even close for 3/4 of that game. So as I'm thinking about that and wondering how 4 weeks has ruined 4 months of my life trying to write this book, it occurs to me that maybe everything is indeed changing. That all these carefully aligned pieces from the president to the athletic director, of the coach of the football team, maybe everything is actually in place, and time where, something terrible is going to happen, because for a couple of months now, there has been that, oh, what's going to happen next? And it hasn't really happened. It seems like that guillotine always falls at some point. It just hasn't right now. And it seems strange to me, because nobody's played more football games in West Virginia, and it hasn't won a national championship. And I can't believe that continues. I can't think that all the people who supported it, who've been a part of it, and who either through cheering or playing or coaching made it possible, I can't believe that's going to continue. I don't know if that change is immediate, even if it's imminent. I think it's inevitable, though, and it's kind of strange to me. You kind of have to go through hell to get to heaven, they say. And what's the first line of that John Denver song? Almost heaven, right? So I feel like it's dark for those guys, and I hope I'm right again, because I feel like it'd be really good for all the people who support it, and certainly everybody here, and everybody who's gone to school through there, or who's just watching it on television, who's bought a T-shirt, who's read a book, something like that. I think it'd be really needed for action work. So I hope I'm right. I hope that you all are here to witness it. I hope I can write the story when it happens, and I hope that happens soon. So without any more of me right now, if you all have any questions, I'm not on the clock today. I'll probably pop off and say something that might be in trouble, but I can't help you today. So if you guys have any questions, I'm pretty honest sometimes. I'd be happy to answer.